Bulls have 3 seconds to try a shot and try to win the game.
This is the Notebook Wagering Show on the Wild Style Network. Here are your hosts, Q, Smitty, Matt, and J Cam.
Hey, it's Thursday night, Notebook Wagering time. Live from the Salisbury Center, fueled by Monster Energy. I'm Smitty. I'm in studio. We got a guy up in Pittsburgh ready to put the Russell Wilson jersey on. Let's ride. How's it going tonight, Matty?
Man, you want to cook already, huh, with this Russ talk?
Oh, man, I've been talking about Russell Wilson all day, man. Old man in the garage. Old man in the garage wanted to punch me like multiple times today. Okay, how you doing, though, buddy? Before we dive in, how are you doing?
Good. Weather here has changed for the better, and then all of a sudden, you know it's coming. We got one more potential snowstorm coming maybe Saturday. Can't wait. After that, we're going to dust off the golf clubs, throw them in the car, and it's time then. And then, well, after that, it's Vegas, March Madness.
Oh, yeah, Vegas trip. Nice. You're ready. Yeah, nice. Good for you, man. I'm going to be down. I leave for Florida a couple of days after it officially starts. I'll be down in Florida playing some golf with Denny. Yeah, and I played the other day really wet. I had some good shots. I had some bad shots, but it was fun to get out. Second time I've been out this year, so I'm going to try to play down in Florida with Denny a couple times. So, the weather, it was 60, it's been tough. My one daughter's been really sick. She's been sick for like over a week. It's just been kind of tough, but I had to stay home today and get back to been in and out with work a little bit. So I kind of need a schedule. I'm one of those guys that really needs a schedule, but we'll be back at it. Day basketball didn't go well for me early today. Arch Madness started. Murray State got blown out. I lost Bama, but I'll bring it up with Brian. But, man, I was on the easiest one. And we'll go live bets here tonight because I got a couple. But I had Pepperdine minus 9.5. You talk about one of the easiest bets of your lifetime. That was 26-0. Pepperdine.
Well, who were they playing?
Pacific. Pacific's the worst ATS team. And so, a little backstory. Pacific just fired their coach, which, they're really bad. Pepperdine fired their coach 2 days ago, which is, man, he was the old Washington coach, Matt. Is it Romar?
Romar?
Yeah, Romar. He just got fired, but I heard a little tidbit, which I was leaning this game anyway. I like this game. And they had a guy, or they talked on Follow the Money this morning. So being home, I got to watch the entire show. And somebody said, they had Marshall. I can't remember his first name. Handicapper, really good segment today on Follow the Money. And he said, Pepperdine's going to play hard for this guy. Like they're going to. And Pacific's done. And I was like, yeah, 9.5. Pacific's one of the worst teams, which I have it here if I can find it. Pacific coming in today, Matt, was 6-23 against the ATS. So I was like, let's take a chance. So it was 26-0. Tim Murray had the best one. Our good friend Tim Murray that's been on with us before. The over-under in the first half was 71.5. Pepperdine scored 56, and it still went under.
Man, what happened to the days of Michael Ola Candy down there?
The Candy Man.
Holy cow.
Great name there. Way to throw that out there. Hey, everybody, too, get in the chat tonight. Sign that notebook. Let's get the chat fired up tonight. We got a great one. We got Brian Rauf coming on with us tonight. He should be popping in here about 8:30. But yeah, so hey, Matt, live bets because we're going to do a little NFL before we go really hardcore. So I have a ton of games. Like I said, I started 0-2. I got Pepperdine. My best bet, IPFW, is down 11. That's not good. Hit two in a row with Sharp Angle, but that one's not looking good. But I have a big card. I like some games today, so I fired. But tonight, Oregon. I got Oregon money line minus 155. Laid a little juice. Wish I would have got on it a little bit quicker. but I do like Oregon. They're 12-2 at home. Colorado's not the best. They're 2-7 on the road. Home favorites in the Pac-12, 56-24 for the year. So jump on that. And I'm going to go Green Bay. That's another 9 p.m. game. I jumped on Green Bay today, -135 money line. Hey, Milwaukee I lost this bet a couple days ago, I believe. Milwaukee crushed them, 90-69. They've split for the year. But again, Green Bay's really good at home, 10-4. Milwaukee's 5-9 on the road. So I'm going to go back with Green Bay. I was a big loser with them a couple days ago in this game, but I'm going to go right back with them tonight. So that's two 9 p.m. games that I just gave you. You have anything late night?
I do. I have one now, but it's NBA. It was Naz Reid over rebounds for the T-Wolves with Karl Anthony Towns being out. Because I know some of my cousins actually like the NBA bets. I have a crazy one too. Little fun pizza money because the scoring is so high in the NBA. I took some alternate lines. I took Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, and Durant. Over 3.5, and Durant over 2.5 on threes. And I got a booster on it. It's plus 1,200. So I threw some fun money on that. See if we can get some high-scoring NBA games. College, 2 late nights. So last week I talked about a potential sleeper team, and I'm going to leak it out here. If this team gets into the tournament, I will be picking them to win a game. I will be betting them to win a game. Southern Illinois Saluki has 2 stars, -6 tonight, -110. The Missouri Valley Conference is underway. They basically need to win it unless somehow they get like 4 teams in there. And I doubt that's going to happen from such a small conference. And then late night, UC San Diego also laying 6, -110. The Toreros, go ahead and play them. 2 hockey plays too, because I know we got some hockey people. I had one guy reach out to me, not a big hoops guy, but he likes his hockey. So I did Lightning puck line tonight. And then I have the Sharks and Isles over 6 goals tonight out on the West Coast. Late game, both teams are trash. Hopefully they can just run it up and down the ice and score it up. That's all I got right now, buddy. We can always add to that card.
Yeah, there's a couple. USC's playing Arizona State. I know my one good guy is on USC. They have played better. I'm not high on that team. Arizona State, could they fold it in? That's the thing right now. You got to be careful with these teams that can just fold it in a little bit. I think Bobby Hurley's in some trouble out there. Earlier in the day, Murray State, that one was tough. They beat that. Who was that? Was that Missouri State? They got just trounced. Murray State beat them twice in the year, and it's hard to beat a team 2 times. It really is. Or 3 times, excuse me. They already beat them twice, 3 times. And you just saw what happened. It wasn't good. So we'll get after it here. But yeah, I have a big card. I gave it out. But yeah, I was on Grambling too here at 8:30. But Oregon, I think, is a good play. I like Green Bay too. I think that's 2 good winners there. So, all right, we're going to talk more college basketball when our guest comes on here at some time. Thanks again for being in the chat. I see Ken. I think we got Buck. We got Matthew Smith, man. What's going on, Matthew, man? Good guy. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it so much. All right, Matty, NFL time. Pack Attack, Scotty. Hey, Smitty. Hey, Matt. Hey, Scotty. Thanks for being here, man. We appreciate it. And again, when our guest comes on, man, any college basketball questions you have, throw it out there in the chat. I'm going to do the best I can to try to talk, read, and put it out there to our guy Brian here when he comes on tonight. All right, Maddie, I got a couple things. I had a blast can I just say I had a blast last Thursday when I did True False with you. What a great segment. I thought you were fantastic. Thanks, I watched the show once or twice. When I got home, I wrote you and said I thought you were just dynamite, and after watching it, I thought it was fantastic. So I have another little segment for you, but hey, let's get into this. Here's the big rumor, and I about got punched 3 times in the face today by old man in the garage, and I know you're fired up. I know Jason's fired up, and a lot of people. So the rumor is the Steelers might meet with Russell Wilson. So are you pro Russell Wilson coming to Pittsburgh or no? Go for it, Matt. You've talked about this for a couple of weeks, but go for it. The mic is yours.
Here we go, buddy. This is for you. We got the chef hat on because Russ is coming to cook, baby. I said all along that the money is the key here. No way are they bringing in Fields because it's a 1-year rental, and what is that going to get you? You're going to lose draft stock and picks, who knows what. So that's out. They could go cheaper, but Russ, you're not going to get any cheaper. It's probably
Russ is going to be real cheap. Going to be real cheap.
It's probably going to be I'm going to say $2 to $3 million deal, but then they're going to throw some incentives on it, which don't hit the cap. So they have to do it. Now, I know you like it. I actually think it's smart, but the kicker here is no way are they giving up on Kenny Pickett. So I'm not sure why they're bringing Russ in, because somebody's going to get butthurt. Either Russ is going to get butthurt that he can't beat out Kenny Pickett, or Kenny Pickett, who was drafted first round, local kid from Pitt, is going to get really butthurt, and he's going to take a back seat to Russ. And I know you like the numbers of Russ last year, so we're probably going to go at it here in a little bit. His better days are way behind. And to me, it's just an average football team he's coming to, and it's not going to get better than average. So strap in, Pittsburgh. Your Pens are going downhill. You're going to get a dose of reality, and your Steelers are just going to stay mediocre. Even if they get in the playoffs, they're going to lose. This streak of non-playoff wins is going to hit a decade, and then people are really going to just start jumping ship. But hey, I know J-Cam, he said if Russ comes here, he's out. He's going to be a fan of the Lions. So watch the people jump ship. I think it's going to be great talking points, and I can't wait.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be. Hey, Mike, thanks for being in the chat, man. Why he's wearing the crazy hat? Because Matt is the new guy that just dresses up, and I love it. Well, I can't wait until I can.
Crazy hat is because it's Russ. I mean, he says, let's cook. So there's all these chef memes. So I'm going to cook tonight. Let's cook, man. That's why he's doing that. So I'll tell you, it's 3-0 Caps. Who are they playing, Ken, tonight? Is that the Penguins? Are they playing Penguins? Who are they? I don't even know who the Caps are playing tonight. Yeah, Caps, Pens. Yeah, okay. I'm not. I get into. I listen to the Puck Daddy here in the playoffs, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. All right. So here's my rant with this. I'm not. I used to be a Russ guy. Russ got a little weird. So I'm not the biggest Russ guy, but cheap. That's what he's going to come. All right. He threw for over 3,000 yards last year. 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. 98%, I think, rating. Kenny, 2,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 picks, 76 rating. This is a no-brainer, people. And, you know, Kenny overall, man, my phone is just blowing up. Sorry if that's coming on here right now. He's 14-10. He averages about 179 yards a game. He's 13 touchdowns, 13 picks for his career. I don't know what we're talking about here. And if Jason wants to jump, okay, jump. Go to Detroit. That's fine. I mean, listen, I'm a Pittsburgh fan, man. I'm going to root the Pirates. I always think the Pirates are going to do well. I think the Steelers are going to do well. I'm not a Mike Tomlin guy. I've said it on this show. I've been bashed on social media for some of my Steeler takes. But if you're talking about how cheap this could be for a year or two, I'm sorry, man. This guy, he has some weapons. And, you know, here's old man's rant. And this is a lot of people's rant. And they said, you know, you hear from Seattle, guys don't like him. Denver, guys don't like him. What are we talking about? So we're talking about a problem in the locker room. Okay, so Kenny wasn't a problem in the locker room at the end of the year when Mason took over the job and he was pouting. I don't think he went on one road trip. I don't think he went out to Seattle and he didn't want to be the backup or anything. George Pickens isn't a problem most games. You know how many teams have guys that are a problem in the locker room? I'm talking about better stats, at least entertaining. How many times do you watch the Steelers over the last year or two? And it's like, what a waste of 3.5 hours of my life. I'm not very satisfied. I want something better. I want at least some points. This guy can throw some points on still. Is he the guy, same guy? No, he's not. Do I like him? No.
I'll be very honest. And I agree with Matt. I'd rather see Justin Fields. I don't think it's going to happen because it's more money, but I'd rather see them running because they're a running football team. I think they have 2 good running backs. I think the line's going to get better. Run the quarterback a little bit. With the weapons that he has more than Chicago, I think Fields can throw some. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. I still don't think Russell Wilson's going to happen. I still think it's going to be Tannehill or like a Tyrod Taylor, like Matt said. That's just what I think. But if we're talking about Kenny Pickett or Russell Wilson, you're a fool if you want Kenny Pickett.
So
Matt,
wrap this up. I'm going to fire back. So Russ in Denver last year, who also wanted to be a running team, and they weren't very successful at it. They had some injuries and whatnot. They found a young kid in that Jaleel McLaughlin, but that's neither here nor there. So Denver's offensive line last year ranked 13th in the league overall. That's pretty good. Russ had 45 sacks. That's not good. He's going to come to Pittsburgh where the offensive line ranks 19th. How many sacks is he going to have next year? If he's indecisive in the pocket, I mean, this is why I actually love it, because I can't wait for a game where they play Cleveland in a bad weather and it's 9-7 and Russ has 8 sacks and 2 INTs and this town just goes crazy and screams for Kenny Pickett to come back. And then Kenny Pickett's got to go play Baltimore or something in Baltimore. And he comes back with a 160-yard performance, 1 touchdown, 3 INTs, and then the whole town's like, go get us Mason Rudolph. This town's a mess right now when it comes to sports. The Pirates might have the brightest future star right now, and that's scary.
Pirates, I think, have I know you're going to make fun of me. And I'm not going to go in over 74.5 wins. You know, I jumped it. I can't wait to talk to you all summer about it. Hey, no, listen, and this is great. And this is what I said to Old Man in the Garage. And we got to go in our last segment here with the NFL because I want to hear your thoughts. It's good talk. It's good talk radio or podcast or whatever between me and you. Me and him are all, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens here. I just think, again, for how cheap it's going to be, it's an upgrade. Do I like the guy? No. And run the quarterback. Mike said run the quarterback. Yes. Yeah, run him. If Justin Fields comes, run him a bunch. That's the problem with these guys. I get they have so much money in these guys and they can't run them. But if that's one of your strengths, run the quarterback, man. Tell the quarterback to get out of bounds. Get down. Don't take hits, but go to your strength. That's the problem. So, hey, good stuff there, Matt. Okay, so last week we did a little segment, True False with Matt. Like I said earlier, I thought he did unbelievable. But this week I said, let's talk rookie quarterbacks coming in the draft. So some of them didn't do much out in, where is that, Indianapolis. Some did. So here's the names, Matt. You got Caleb Williams, Daniels, May, McCarthy, Penix, Nix. And if you want to throw, you know me, I like Spencer Rattler a little bit. So if you want to throw him in the mix too, let's throw him down on the no card. All right. If you are a GM and you have to rank these guys, what is your ranking of these quarterbacks coming into the draft?
All right. Well, number 1, I think, is pretty easy, but it actually might seem like he's trying to sabotage himself with how he's hiding his medicals and what he pulled at the combine. But number 1's Caleb Williams, and everybody had him there last year. He's still number 1 talent-wise. He's got a big arm. He can run. He really can run. He doesn't have to, and he doesn't choose to. I actually think he's a better runner and more elusive than what Mahomes is, and you see how good Mahomes is when he gets out and scrambles. Number 2, I'm actually going to put Jaden Daniels ahead only because the Drake May project is a little unpolished. He's a little bit younger, which is good. And I actually think Drake May is probably Josh Allen light. But Jaden Daniels has more tenure. He's seen more. He's worked with basically pro wide receivers. Drake May's numbers dipped last year without the Quez kid at wide receiver. So I'm going to keep Daniels 2, Drake May 3. Here's the lightning rod, though, the whole thing. J.J. McCarthy 4. And people were saying, oh man, he threw some ducks at the combine, this and that, and he missed open receivers on some deep slants and deep balls and this and that. And then they showed a different camera angle, and he barely missed. And he actually looked really good at a different camera angle versus what most people were watching. So the pro scouts are basically saying, no, JJ is legit. So he's probably penciling at 4. Then you go 5 and 6. I am not a Bo Nix guy. He's just Case Keenum, another guy who can throw it out with a big time college offense like Keenum did at Houston. I'll probably take Penix at 5 just because I think he's got a really good deep ball. He tested okay, but his interviews were amazing, they said, at the combine. So teams really like him, and a leadership role goes a long way. Nix did as well, though, too. I am just not a Nix guy, and it's nothing biased. I've seen him play for 5 to 6 years now. Just not a big fan. I do not like that Penix doesn't run, even though he can. I think he should run a little more, especially in this day and age's offense. And I don't like if he throws off his back foot a lot. But I think they can correct that, especially if he's on a good team where he might sit some games or a year, etc. So overall, it's 1 Caleb Williams, 2 Daniels, 3 Drake May, 4 JJ, 5 Penix, and 6 Bo Nix. I don't have Rattler in there. There is a dark horse, the kid from Tulane. A lot of people like, but he stunk at the combine. So his pro day is going to have to be big time. And that's Pratt. I believe it's Michael Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's my top 6.
Good stuff. Yeah, I thought, you heard there was some positive about McCarthy, and then there was some negatives. The new drill I like, Matt, when they're throwing it into that like mat, and they were doing the gun behind them.
Yeah. 6. Somebody had a really big time number.
Milton had 60. He had 62.
Yeah,
I think that was the top. That was the top, which
Yeah.
isn't shocker. I mean, he threw the one. I don't know if you saw the one clip. He threw one like 75, 80, and the guy right off, and the guy didn't even catch it. And he's like marking it like, yeah, I got it. Yep. Money. And
too bad he can't throw a 6-yard out.
Yeah. Hey, years ago, go back to this when we started this show on the deck, myself and Q. When he was at Michigan, I was like, man, this guy, he might be a Heisman candidate. This guy's big. He can run. Whoo, man, did I miss? And then Tennessee. Yeah, big time arm. I mean, 4th round, would you take a chance with him? I mean, maybe if you need a quarterback. The kid's a big guy, can throw, but I don't know if he can, like you just said, he can't throw some throws like that. So, so I'm driving. So today I ran up early to get some gas in the car. And then I had to go get our guy, John, one of the best producers we have right now. I had to get his Dr. Pepper for him, man. Birthday. Hey, John, how was your birthday over the weekend, buddy?
It was good. It was a good birthday.
Awesome. This guy, he's words of many right there. There he is right there. There he is. Yeah, this guy's
Back
doing
on a bald head. Yeah.
doing
fella in studio.
Doing unbelievable stuff, man. We love John. So I ran out and got that. So I had Colin Cowherd show on, and he was talking about Bo Nix, and he's like, he's gonna go to Denver in the 1st, and it's gonna be a great pick. And I was like, man, Bo Nix in the 1st round. I was like, ugh, I don't know. And I like Bo Nix. I've said I like Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix in the 3rd or 4th round. I mean, are these teams, Matt, so desperate to just get quarterbacks?
Yeah. I mean, you saw how bad. Look at the Jets backups. Cleveland had to go to Joe Flacco. There's some really bad quarterbacks in this league anymore. It's not like it used to be where, I mean, even if Billy Joe Tolliver for the Chargers back in the day was serviceable. Scott Mitchell. Like, you had a bunch of guys who would come in and really sling it. Now you have some Steelers are a prime example. They tried Trubisky, awful. Rudolph got some wins, but he's a career backup. Just there's some bad quarterbacks. So I think a lot of guys are going to get drafted.
Yeah. I mean, again, we're talking. So, Matt, I'm going to ask you something. When can I thought free agency started next week, and maybe I'm just off on this.
I think it does.
But there was people signing today, like Mitch Trubisky went to the Bills.
It might be
Can you explain this to me? Because I was trying to explain this to old man in the garage, and he's like, bring it up on the show. Maybe so. I'm like, yeah, because I'm confused on this. I thought it started next week at this time.
It's next week. I know that, but I believe there's some exceptions, maybe with the restricted free agents. And
okay. It's like something like that. Okay.
Free agents. Yes. I don't know the actual loopholes, but most guys cannot sign or even be talked to until
okay.
You know, I'm sure they are, but
because Trubisky went to the Bills.
Yeah.
You know, you had I think a tight end went to Miami. I can't remember who that was. I mean, some of these teams, man, are dropping people. Buffalo dropped. How many guys did they drop in like the last 2 days?
6 starters, I believe.
Starters, yeah. Crazy. So, hey, it's getting close that time. Is he's good? He's here? Okay. Well, we're not going to waste. I was going to talk about my Boston Red Sox underplay, but we're not going to. Hey, let's bring him right in. This guy's a little bit more important than the Boston Red Sox underplay that I have. I'm going to be sweating out all summer and everything. But hey, everybody, we have senior national writer at HeatCheck CBB, host of the Hangout CBB, and the author of the Rauf Report, Brian Rauf. Man, what's going on, buddy? Oh, we can't hear him. I can't hear him, John. You got him?
That's my fault.
Okay. I gotcha.
How are you guys?
I'm doing fantastic, buddy. I mean, hey, listen, when I'm going to talk about my summer baseball bets and then you pop on, that's done. It's good to see you.
I'm glad I can help. It is March. I know baseball's coming, but we got more pressing things at hand, right?
Oh,
Brian, don't mind my hat either. This is for Russ Cookin when he comes to Pittsburgh.
Got it. Makes sense.
So let's just dive into it. Hey, I have a big question for you. Were you on, or I don't know if I don't know if how much you gamble, but I gamble, and this was an easy winner. What did you think of the Pepperdine Pacific game this afternoon?
It wasn't really a game. One team showed up, the other team was already ready to go home. I think both had fired their coaches too coming into the game. And it was very clear that Pacific did not want to be there. They were very much ready to get on to the next spots in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I put on social media, I said, if you won the 50-50 raffle at the halftime, I think you were playing for Pacific in the second half. That was one of the easiest winners I've ever had in my life in gambling here. Now, my best bet's getting crushed by 20, so that's the way gambling goes. So hey, let's dive into it, Brian. Overall, going into the tournament right now, let's talk number one seeds. I want to go number one seeds right now. Tennessee's at one that I have a ticket on to win the national championship. I think Arizona's the other one right now that they're kind of maybe battling for each other. Overall, if you had to do it, what's your 4 number one seeds?
The first 3 are obvious, right? Houston, Purdue, UConn. You're probably going to have Purdue first, UConn second, Houston third overall as a 3-1 seed. I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think anything can happen from this point to Selection Sunday that would change that. 4th number 1 seed does seem to be coming down to between Tennessee and Arizona. Those seem to be the 2 that it's narrowed to. Personally, I would lean Tennessee. I think what they've done the last 2 months in conference play separates themselves from Arizona a little bit. The Pac-12 has not been very good this season at all. Arizona had a good non-conference, but hasn't really had a chance to stack up quality wins in conference play the last 2 months, just how bad the Pac-12 has been. So I say all that. It also doesn't really matter that much because the 4th 1 seed, whoever it is going to be in the West, which is fine with Arizona. Whether the 1 seed or the 2 seed, they want to be in the West. So that 4th 1 seed is going to come down to basically who's wearing the home whites if the top 2 teams play each other in the Elite 8 matchup. Arizona's, I think, going to be totally fine taking that top 2 seed if they get it.
Matty, go ahead. We're just bounced, man. Let's go back and forth.
So you broke down the 1 seeds. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot, though. Out of those 1 seeds, who goes home first?
That's a loaded question. Everything in the NCAA tournament depends on matchups somewhat, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out here. If Arizona gets the 1 seed, I think Arizona is probably the most likely to go out first. They've been inconsistent the last couple of months. Found their stride more the last couple of weeks, but have been the more inconsistent of the group. If you're looking at things overall, though, I think Houston probably has to be the choice. I don't know if there's a 1 seed who's a lock to be knocked out in the first weekend, or is that real danger being knocked out in the first weekend, let alone what happened to Purdue last season. But Houston's elite defensively, and they're getting by offensively, largely because Jamal Shed has taken his game from being like a 12-point per game scorer to a 18, 19, 20, 21 point per game scorer over the last 2 months. Really, since that loss to Kansas, the first time they played at Allen Fieldhouse, where they kind of got rocked. He's really stepped his game up since then. It's going to take one off game from him offensively, and this Houston team becomes vulnerable. They need him to be a Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier type of run if Houston's going to make a deep run. I trust Houston's defense to give them a solid floor, but their ceiling is very much dependent on Shed being a superstar.
All right. The reason I asked is because you brought it up after Purdue's mishaps and missteps the past couple of years. As a betting person and a betting site podcast, so if you had to put a trust factor on the number ones, who's your most trustworthy? Because honestly, even this year, I still cannot trust Purdue. We know Zach Edey's going to get his 20 and 10 probably almost every game. And then it comes down to their 2 guards. Now, the 1 guard is fantastic, but if those guards show up and just have a subpar night, I think it's doomsday for Purdue again. I cannot, if you had to ask me to pencil in a team to go to the Final Four, it's not going to be Purdue. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is somebody you can pencil in to go to the Final Four this year. UConn is the 1 seed and the team I think I trust the most. I know they're going to be well coached and they're going to have a really good game plan. They routinely get the most out of this roster, and there's not one guy that they rely on. You've had Tristan Newton step up and win games very single-handedly. You've had Donovan Clingan do the same. You've had Stephon Castle, who's a lottery pick, do the same. You've had Cam Spencer play big roles. They're the most trustworthy to me, but I also think it's fair to wonder what exactly their ceiling is if they have to play at their very best all the time, because they seem to be at their best more often than everybody else. But there is not the slew of NBA talent on that team that there was last year, right? You go back to last year's UConn team, you had Adama Sanogo, who's played some big minutes in the NBA this season. Andre Jackson was, I think, a top 40 pick. And Jordan Hawkins was if he wasn't a lottery pick, he was a top 20 pick. Like, you had those guys in addition to Clingan, in addition to Newton. That was one of the things that made last year's UConn team so special. I still think the most consistent. Purdue has eased a lot of my doubts these last month or so, this last couple of weeks. They've handled a lot of the things that in the past had given them trouble. They've handled pressure better. They've handled close games. They've handled off games from Zach Edey, or Zach Edey gets in a little bit of foul trouble. Other guys have stepped up and made timely plays that they've needed to make. They've gotten stops. They've outscored teams. They've done it all these different ways. At the same time, if they are the 1 seed and someone like TCU, who is extremely physical, extremely long, wants to play fast, wants to get you uncomfortable, is the 8 seed in the region or a 9 seed in the region, I'm going to have to think long and hard about a potential TCU upset over Purdue just from a matchup standpoint. Because what we saw last year, Purdue got rattled, couldn't handle pressure. They still kind of don't handle pressure that well at times. So if they run into a team kind of like a TCU that extends their defense, really pressures you, wants to force turnovers, I think Purdue is still vulnerable, but I don't think that's something that is unique to Purdue this season. I think everybody has some flaw of some kind. There is no perfect, inevitable team.
All right. I want to go UVA. Lenardi has them on the bubble. Living here in the state of Virginia, I'm not the biggest Virginia guy. I mean, is this team serious? Are we talking about this team getting in this? So I wrote this down. I wrote this down, Brian. They've scored. I mean, you're talking about Pacific not scoring today. This team's right there, too. I mean, they scored 48 against Duke, 72 against BC, 44 against North Carolina, 41 against Virginia. 3 out of their last 4 has been in the 40s. I mean, is this team in?
No, I think they probably will get in because they don't have a ton of bad losses, but the bad losses they've taken have largely come recently. And the offense has gone into a complete and utter shell. Now, I tweeted this out when they lost to Wisconsin way back in November when they were getting, I think they scored 41 in that game, lost by like 24, 25, something like that. They don't have the offensive firepower. They don't have anybody who can create anything outside of structure. Reese Beekman is a really good defender. Ryan Dunn is an awesome defender and somebody who has an NBA future, projected first-round pick, and his potential is very high, even as an offensive player. But right now, there's nobody on this Virginia team that other defenses have to account for. There is nobody who is a threat to get into the lane consistently, nobody who's a threat to create for others, nobody who you have to worry about going at your guys one-on-one or beating somebody off the dribble. Like that's a concern. You need that. Like their defense has taken them to a point where they've gotten on the bubble and probably going to be on the right side of it on Selection Sunday. But you have to win games with your offense at some point. Like you have to score 50 plus to at least have a chance to win games. And Virginia's not doing that right now, and I don't have faith in them really turning it around.
All right, we got in the chat here real quick. Looking for some Cinderellas, and I had a question. Who's the team that could pop off like Florida Atlantic last year? Who's that team that could make a really good run for you, especially if you want to do a Final Four bet on the show or national championship little bet here, or just outright beat the lady that sits next to you in the cubicle in the bracket, man? Who do we got, Brian?
Yeah, so I'll give you 4. There are 2 in the Sun Belt that if things hold true in the Sun Belt, I think both of these teams have a chance to win multiple games, and that's James Madison and Appalachian State. JMU was obviously the big talk in November after the win at Michigan State. They've only lost 3 times all season. JMU, they're 28-3 coming into the Sun Belt tournament. 2 of those losses were to App State. App State has a win over Auburn. They were a little bit shakier in non-conference play, but have found their stride, real defensive identity under their head coach, Dustin Kearns. They've been playing at a really high level for the last 2.5-3 months. They're a team that teams don't want to have to worry about facing either. They have great guards to go along with their defense. Like it's the perfect recipe for a team that should do well in March. They have the experience, defense, guard play. Like when you go through your checklist, those are the 3 things at the top. Elsewhere, I think you have to give McNeese State a look. I don't know how far necessarily. Some of that will depend on matchups. But it's another team, just 3 losses this season. Will Wade's their head coach. Will Wade doesn't lose wherever he goes.
He's a good coach.
He's a great coach.
Maybe not on the all up inside, but you know what we're talking about. But okay.
Yeah. But he on the court, he's an excellent coach, and he's got a team that has a lot of talent that far exceeds your typical Southland Conference team. They went and beat Michigan. Now I know everybody's going to beat Michigan, but they were at the start of that back in December, and then Grand Canyon. And Grand Canyon to me is a real threat. They go about 4 or 5 deep in the backcourt with guards who are 6'4" to 6'6". Real power conference size. So they're not going to be overwhelmed by some of these bigger teams that they play. A lot of them are down transfers, guys who are power conferences that transfer down. So they have that size. They have that experience playing at that level, and they're pretty deep. Bryce Drew is a very good coach as well. We know that. If things match up well for them and they get put in the right region, I could see Grand Canyon being a team that makes a real run.
All right, Brian, let's flip the script. I love underdogs and whatnot. However, who's the Iron Pirate? Who's the Fool's Gold teams so far? And tell me why it's not South Carolina. And
you can't say that to him. That's his team. You can't say
that.
No, you can say that. And Alabama is the reason why. I think South Carolina has obviously overachieved to a huge extent this season. Same time, they've done.
Good job, Matt. He's never going to come back on this show again. Thanks.
They've done so. They've done so by playing their style, which is a slower style. When teams have been able to speed them up, like in Alabama, like in Auburn, they lose by 30 or 40, like they did to Alabama and to Auburn. So I don't have a lot of faith in South Carolina making a really long run. They're very matchup dependent. I don't have a lot of faith in Alabama or Auburn either. Alabama's defense is horrific. The last 8 games, it's outside the top 250 in the country, bottom 100 in the country, that defense. It's not good enough, simply not good enough. Auburn has 1 quad 1 win, and it's over Alabama, who has a terrible defense, as we just mentioned. Auburn with the analytics and all their efficiency metrics and from the eye test looks like a good team. They have done nothing through 4.5 months of the season to back that up in reality. And so you have to wonder how legitimate that is and if they're able to really, really make that run. I think North Carolina is solid. They have a solid floor. You know what you're going to get from them. They're one of the more experienced teams in the country. They have a core that has experience making long runs. I really like Iowa State defense that is very similar to Houston's. They don't get talked about as much because they have not been as good consistently recently as Houston is. Have the same style of defense with, I think, more offensive options than Houston does. Iowa State could be a team that surprises. And I keep trying to talk myself out of Kentucky. But I can't do it. I can't do it. They are so entertaining offensively, and the defensive issues are there. But they have been a top 50 defense over the last month and a half of the season. Like, they've improved enough. They're not great by any means. They're not going to win games with the defense, but they've gotten to a point where they're good enough to where it complements how good they are offensively.
All right, Matt, real quick. I have a ticket on Tennessee so far, Kentucky, and Iowa State.
Bravo.
That's where I'm. And I know this guy.
I would feel good about those.
I know my co-host has a ticket on Iowa State with me, I think. And he jumped on it quicker than I did. And that was a great game last night. BYU jumped out, man. I had a live money line play on that. I had a money line parlay on them, and they were just getting housed, man. But that place, and I put on X with you, man, Brian. I said, that home court is just something different there, man. They're just that's the magic. The magic comes out there at Iowa State, man. That's just a good experience. I love that team. And they should have, they've been talking about it on VSiN with the revenge spot and everything. They should have covered. I think it got up to 7.5. Like I said, I had a money line parlay because that one guy got fouled and he threw it in and they waved the foul off late in that game. And I'm like, man, oh man, that wasn't even close to like an NBA, like a continuation, man. He got fouled, he flipped the ball up and it went in and calling. But yeah, I like Iowa State. I think that's a good team, real good team. Go ahead, Maddie. I'm sorry I cut you off.
I was going to say, I'll give props to BYU. They're legit. They are going to be a problem, I think, in the tournament. So I want to go back to the SEC, though, for Brian, because that's his conference kind of. So I think the actual 3 best teams in the SEC, you brought up one of them, obviously. So it's Tennessee, I think, is 1. I actually think Kentucky is probably the 2nd best team in the SEC. And then I think there's a sleeper team, and I think that's Florida. And I think they've hovered under the radar all year. They're playing good basketball, not great basketball, but if they can piece together, I don't know, say 2 SEC conference tourney wins, I can see them being a 5 seed and being a real problem in the tournament for some people. What do you think on the Gators?
We lose them? I think we lost.
I don't have any audio on them at all right now. Matt, are you there?
Yeah, we go ahead, Brian. They had lost you in the studio, but I can hear you, so keep on rolling.
All right. I lost you guys. So, Matt.
Smitty, we hear you guys. Brian's is going to keep talking. I'll text you guys.
Yeah, but we don't hear.
I don't hear Brian,
in the
so
studio.
I lost Brian.
Right.
We lost Brian.
Then we'll pause real quick. Sorry, Brian. They lost you in the studio somehow. See if we can. Let me text him real quick.
Brian, say something, don't mind.
Hello, Florida.
There we go. He's back. Okay.
Okay. You got him? Okay, we're back. We got you, Brian.
Yeah. So just talking about Florida, they're a team that is playing their best basketball right now. Actually, writing about them. It's part of my most recent Rauf report that's going to be up on heatcheckcb.com on Friday, tomorrow. Early on in the season, they were losing a lot of close games. They could not get over the hump. They played well, passed the eye test, could not get over the hump. They've gone over the hump recently. They've won 10 of their last 13 games, something along those lines. And they had a chance in those 3 losses, but they were all two quality opponents. They picked up some big wins along a resounding win over Alabama this week. We're looking for a team that plays a fun style, as a coach who's been in the tournament before, and Todd Golden. excellent guard play. They have a lot of size, shoot a lot of threes, do all the things that the analytics and predictive metrics love. I like that pick. I think they're a team that could make some noise.
Yeah, Matt, you were on that. You were on them real quick at the beginning of the year.
My 3 tickets are Final Four tickets. I have Iowa State. I have Florida. I took Florida Atlantic again. Hopefully they made a run, but I think that one's kind of dwindling. And then I have one on Creighton as well.
I like those. And the FAU has been dwindling. They have not been good, but is it going to surprise anybody if that team just like flips it on in postseason play and it's like, oh yeah, okay, we remembered how to play now.
Yeah. I mean, they keep winning though. That's the thing,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't looked pretty,
Yep.
but a team with that experience and those guards saw what it meant last year.
So one team I heard today on a show, I think it was VSiN, it was the Zags. And the Zags were in trouble last week. And then they went into St. Mary's and they just put on a show. And now there's some people that are like now really high on this team saying they could jump up to like a 7 seed. And probably the name again is going to help. But I think it was the same gambler, man, Marshall today on Follow the Money. He's like, I wouldn't be shocked if they're in the Final Four. And I was like, whoa, man, we went from a team that was not going to go at all in the tournament. Now some people, and again, could this team do it? Maybe. I mean, you've seen crazier things, but Brian, what's your overall thoughts on Gonzaga there?
I think Gonzaga has turned things around for the first 2.5 months of the season, even through like mid-January. They weren't great. Like, quite frankly, they weren't good. Their defense was bad, and their offense has not been anywhere near as good as it has been in past years. Last month, they've really centered everything around Graham Ike. Have been like, okay, you're our guy who's going to take us places. And it's worked. Ike has scored over 20 points in 7 straight games. I think it's like 9 of their last 12. He's done the same thing as well. And that's been part of this turnaround. They're scoring points again at a high rate, right? I still have concerns about how high the ceiling is, right? Because all the issues that were there before are still there. They go 6 deep, and that's about it. Someone gets in foul trouble, someone gets hurt. There's no one there. First part of the season, they were able to hang with some teams, but fell apart late in games because they got tired. I expect that to be the case again here. Shooting is still somewhat of a concern. Going through WCC play isn't exactly a gauntlet. They beat St. Mary's. I don't think St. Mary's is very good either. I think St. Mary's is fairly fraudulent, and they haven't really beaten anybody other than this Gonzaga team early on in the season when Gonzaga was struggling. Gonzaga has turned things around to the point where I think they can continue their Sweet 16 streak, which is something that was in real jeopardy. But I think that's their ceiling. I don't know if this is a group that can go to an Elite Eight, to a Final Four, unless everything breaks right and they're playing in a busted up region.
Matty, you got one more before we let this guy go? You know where my final question is going to go, and I know Brian knows where it's going. It's going my Hoyas. Okay, go ahead.
So, Brian, conference tourneys are starting up for the gamblers out here. Give the gamblers a pick of who your most confident team would be to win their conference tourney. Could be any conference.
Yeah, I talked about Grand Canyon earlier. There's nobody in the WAC that can really touch them. I feel very confident in them. There's one that it's escaping me, but there's another team like that just kind of ran through their own tournament. But Grand Canyon is one for me that I feel very, very confident in.
Hey, Brian, my last thing is I've been doing a rant for like the last 3 weeks on this show, and is not to hire these coaches that played there. And we're going to go to McKee for Temple, gone. Ewing was just not good at Georgetown and breaks my heart, but it happens. Woodson, now they're going to bring him back. And now I think, I wrote you a little bit ago, one of their guys coming in decommitted today.
Yep.
Is it such a bad idea? Like, Chris Mullen didn't happen at St. John's. Is it a bad idea to bring these guys that played as their head coach? What's your overall thought with this?
It's a bad idea if you're hiring them because they're a famous alum. It's not a bad idea if they have coaching experience and have coached at a high level, right? Like that's to me a difference. Like, I know Patrick Ewing didn't work out. I know Juwan Howard hasn't really worked out at Michigan. He worked out early, but hasn't recently. Those two guys are defendable because they were longtime NBA assistants who were on track to get NBA head coaching jobs. Right? That made sense beyond just, oh, you're this guy. But prioritizing that over guys with college experience, I think, is where you see the problem come in, because there is so much more that goes into being a college head coach than just X's and O's, right? You have roster management, you have recruiting, you have the portal, things that are always on. You have to keep boosters happy. You got to get NIL money. You got to keep your administration happy. You got to worry about guys going to class, all these different things that are not basketball. And so these guys could be good basketball coaches, but there's so much else that goes into it that there isn't at other levels. I think you need to worry about finding a good basketball coach first, and a guy who can handle all of those things, a good college basketball coach first that can handle all those things. And if he happens to be an alum, that's great. It might give him an edge when you're splitting hairs on the stretch there. But I think we've seen that bringing somebody in just because he's a famous alum may give you a 1 or 2 year boost in NIL donations or season ticket sales. But that's where the advantages kind of stop.
Like it. Can Ed Cooley turn this around really quick? I mean, this is tough for me, Brian.
Give him 2 years. Give him 2 years. Give him 2 years.
I like the recruiting class coming in.
Yeah. It was a dumpster fire. He needed some time, but I think he'll get there.
Hey, Brian, real quick, how good's that Duke recruiting class coming in next year?
You remember the Zion RJ Cam Reddish years where it was like, oh, they took over the sport. They did make Final Four, but I think this team, led by Cooper Flagg, could have the same kind of whirlwind style tour. Yeah,
Flagg's a stud. Yeah. That's good. Hey, Maddie, any last thoughts?
That is it for Brian, man. I love the college hoops talk. Brian, make sure you actually give yourself a plug here real quick.
Yeah, you can check out our stuff on heatcheckcv.com. We have a whole tournament central section of the website up. Everything you need for all 32 conference tournaments. Then we'll have all the NCAA tournament preview as well. We're going to have that covered from every possible angle. So make sure you check that out on heatcheckcv.com.
Awesome stuff. Our favorite guy, man. Our favorite guy. You've been a good friend of the show. Can I just say this? So I was going through some videos of you today, Brian, and you were on, I can't remember the show, and I'm sorry that I don't remember, but I saw under the little jacket you had the Notebook Wagering shirt on, so thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. It's a phenomenal shirt. Appreciate you guys.
I love it, man. That was great. I said to my daughter that wasn't feeling well, I'm like, hey, here's the guy that's, look, what shirt's he wearing? She's like, okay, Dad, I got it. I'm like, yep. I love it. So, hey, Brian, you are unbelievable. I think you're one of the best in the game, and I enjoy your content every night, and I write you all the time, and you get back to me. I appreciate it. Enjoy March. I hope the family is well. Best of luck to you, man, and thanks again for coming on with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, man. That's our guy, man. Matty, that guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Such good stuff, man. Rauf Report. I read that all the time when he puts that out. Just great guy.
I was trying to rile him up, though, with the South Carolina thing.
I know. You're going after him. Hey, South Carolina wasn't supposed to be anything. That team was bad. That team was supposed to be really bad. What a job.
Yeah. That coach is going to win Coach of the Year, hands down. But I actually think they're fool's gold when it comes to the tourney. I don't think. Yeah. I think that's a team to look at, one of them potentially if you want to get an edge in your bracket.
Hey, I just want to go in the chat. I got something else before we go off here tonight. A couple of people I think it was Buck that said a couple things. Samford, great team. That's a good conference, though. I think Western Carolina's in that one, but Samford's a really good team. Colgate, I think he also said, Colgate's a fantastic team. I think they'll be okay in that. So Ken says, great guess. Yeah, Brian's one of the best, man. Brian's been on our show maybe 3-4 times, and I appreciate every time he comes on because he's just full of knowledge, great basketball guy. So, Maddie, a couple things I had down really quick before we get off the air here. And again, thanks for everyone in the chat. You guys need to talk up a little bit more, man. We get a guest on, fire some stuff. I would have read it. You guys were quiet tonight, man. It's not like our chat. It's usually booming, man. Today it was announced. Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. July 20th. Are you in or are you out on this one? Do we lose him?
I
there
don't
he is.
think.
Okay.
I don't think Mike can beat him though. He's what? Paul's what? 24 or 27, and Tyson's 58.
26, 27.
Yeah, it's just he might be able if he can get an edge in the first 3 rounds and knock him out. I think so, but after that, I don't think a 58-year-old can compete. So
he's 57. Paul's 27, so there's a 30-year difference right now. So, John, you're shaking your head. Let's get you a little bit. I want to hear your thoughts on this. No? Tyson can't do it?
I think what Matt said, if Tyson can get that shot in the first couple rounds, I think he has a fair chance. I think Jake Paul has a surprising knockout ability, especially for a new kid on the block boxing that has taken the sport, extremely seriously. That a lot of people thought it was a joke at first and just this thing for views and clicks. But even though every time he says fight a boxer, that he fights a boxer the next time or stop fighting retired people, and he just continues to shock. But also he's also kind of like the whole Taylor Swift being involved in the NFL. It's bringing a whole new set of eyes to boxing, and it's bringing a whole new generation there, and it's bringing a more diverse crowd. So I think it's good all around. I don't see Tyson knocking him out if he has to go the distance. Did they say how many rounds they're doing?
I didn't hear yet.
I did not. What is, old man asked me today in the garage, he goes, what do they usually go in? And, boxing's kind of gone down what it used to be. They used to do like 12 rounds, right?
Yeah. If it's a middleweight and up, I believe it's 12. The heavyweights used to do 15.
15. Okay. I thought it was, I said that. I think it went a little higher, but I couldn't remember because I'm not a big boxing. But, man, Tyson's the guy, man. When you were like our age, that was the guy.
I just want to touch on what John said and what I said too. I think if Tyson does get in an early shot that hurts Paul, he's just going to dance, and then he's going to tire him out. He's going to pull a Mayweather. So if Tyson lands a big blow, and if he doesn't actually knock him down or knock him out, Paul will dance around and then just tire him out. I think it'll be entertaining though.
Absolutely.
I think Mike is in amazing shape.
Did you see the video that was going around today, him working out in the ring?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. So I think
power.
Oh my goodness. 15. I mean, I looked at old man. I go, could you imagine if he hit you like in the gut? Like you'd be laying there for like 3 weeks. You wouldn't get up now. I mean, he got heavy. He's come back really. I mean, he's in unbelievable shape. And and the cool thing is it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, Netflix picked it up.
I guess Netflix is starting to try to get into the sports.
Netflix bought the rights to like WWE in 2025, I think it is. So they're definitely going into more live stuff. Yeah.
And hey, listen, back to Paul, his brother. And again, I watch here and there with WWE. I'm not big like I used to be. Myself and Matt, I think we're a lot more back in the 80s and 90s with that. But his brother is unbelievable in the ring.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. They're just
entertainer.
They're athletic. I mean, they're just, and they're talented. And here's the thing. You can like them or you don't have to like them. They have marketed themselves so well. And you just got to tip your hat as my voice starts going out here. You got to tip your hat to those guys, man. I mean, they have just done it. I mean, they want the boxer. He has that drink. What's the drink? The energy drink.
Prime.
Well,
Prime.
is Logan Paul. Yeah. But Jake Paul's, I think he's affiliated with Celsius maybe, or he might be starting his own. Or, yeah, both brothers have their own kind of thing. You got to
love it, man. I mean, they're just... They're doing their thing.
I mean, especially both of them came in young ages, social media stars, had dealt with adversity for misstepping in the social media world and have kind of bounced back. Both of them have, so they're phenomenal.
Ken says Tyson's going to wreck them. Well, we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be entertaining.
Can I say one more thing about Tyson?
Go for
it. So I follow him on a lot of different podcasts, and he talks about that fighter spirit that he's had to like kind of put it in the back burner. And kind of find these other routes to handle his anger and aggression and whatever it may be. And he's talks about not wanting to let that animal back out of the cage. And I think it's exciting to see maybe that tiger gets loose one more time.
Yeah, it's like the last Balboa. He's going to throw some pain bombs like old Rocky did.
I thought we weren't supposed to talk about Rocky V.
No,
What we
that's
said
the last one.
weekend?
Balboa.
Okay, I gotcha.
No, Rocky 5 is a do not fly zone.
Rocky 4 is my favorite.
Yeah. Hey.
Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do movie sequel like rankings if we have a lot. Hey, live bets, man. My best bet. Sorry about that. IPFW. I love that team too, man. They spread you out a little bit. I thought they were going to hang in that game. That didn't happen. Bucknell's going to come through. Man, Illinois State's going to be a loser. It looks like that's not good. I need Austin P. I gave out a little team points. Austin P. Man, keep an eye on Austin P. If they stay in this, man. Their overs have been really high. But keep an eye on their team points with them. They seem like they're really going up and down. And, another one, and that Atlantic Sun, that has been crazy tournament. Jacksonville right now, I think Stetson's the highest seed that's left. There's 3 minutes left, and Jacksonville's up 77-72 on them. So, man, this is the time of year, Maddie. There's some craziness, and it's... Sometimes your bets are going to be like Pepperdine, and other times they're not going to be. So
I'm ready, man. I already signed up for some bracket polls and whatnot. So it's here. I'm ready to go. I got not even 2 weeks till I'm in.
So you go out. When do you fly out real quick? Maddie always, and listen, I love this.
March 20th, we leave.
March 20th, man. Me and Q went out, myself and Q went out a couple years ago and saw him out there, and we had a blast out there together. Maddie does this, and I love it because Maddie, just explain really quick. Yeah, real quick, Buck, great one before Maddie does this, and we're going to get off the air. Keep an eye on the Ramblers, man. Loyal, great call there, Buck. Yeah, good team. Yep, absolutely. That team could win that. Great call there. Maddie, just explain to our viewers, because it's my favorite thing when you send how you go down every morning and you have your name on the bar. Just explain that really quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, been going out there so long, and I'll give a shout out to the Cosmopolitan and their sports book because I love it. It's small. It's not small, but it's smaller than the big books, and it's more quaint. Nice lines, machines. I go down. I've made friends with the bartenders, so I'll go down on Wednesday or Thursday morning, and they will put a sign up and say, hey, we'll hold this machine for you because we know you're going to gamble at the bar and whatnot while you watch your games. So they got a little sign there for me. First drink out of the gate, always a White Russian, coat the stomach, go over some bets, start texting it out, and then it's video poker or some slots at the bar all day. And then you have the friends roll in. Gina rolls down at who knows what time after her. By that time, I might be 3 sheets to the win, but It's all worth it, man. And the bets are stacked up. I have some good stories, too. We'll have to go over one other time. The 1 year Iowa beat or lost first round, some woman I told off standing next to me. I told her to get out of my face. But, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we had a good time. We met Matt at Circa. We just met some of our VEASAN buddies. Tim Murray was a great guy. Sean King at the time was out there with VEASAN. We met him, and Ken, it's a fun time to go out there, man. One of my best friends is living out there, Mus and some other guys that we met out there. So it is fun to go out to Vegas for tournament time. So
Hey,
go ahead.
Quick, I'm gonna give a shout out to my cousins Kelly and Richie too. Need to talk them into going, and Kelly and Richie posted a little video they sent me. We'll get it up on the TikTok board, and they showed their new man cave off. So,
cool. Oh, we got it. All right, I like it already. Steps down there, good. Nice bar, like the bar.
Over 3.5, and Durant over 2.5 on threes. There it is.
Oh, there we go. There are the guys.
Yep. Richie enjoys a nice adult beverage too, and he likes to gamble.
Well, thank you for having us on with it. Hey there, thank you there. That's awesome. Great video, man. That was like last week. So I roll in, and again, my daughter's been not feeling well. They were all, my wife and my other 2 of my daughters were there, and I walk in, and who's on the TV? We are. That's always a cool thing, man. You walk in, and it's like, oh, okay. Sat down, had some dinner, and watched us again do the show. So that's awesome, man. That was great. Hey, your man cave looks fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. And again, just Man, the chat is we say it every week. The chat is making the show. We love the chat. Chat was a little quiet tonight, man. Come on. If we have a guest on, fire away. We're going to bring it on, man. So
they're doing homework.
Maybe they are. It's that time of year. So, hey, great show. Thank you so much. Next week, man, it's going to be, we'll be doing some live bets next week. I mean, we'll be right into some big tournaments, and that might be like, hey, my best bet's down 10. Let's try to win some money back. We're going to do some live bets next week. So a lot of fun. But thank you so much. Maddie, what do we always say?
Everybody be well and bang your bookies.